The speech started, he was speaking a lot more softly. It seemed a bit more low energy, to be honest, as though he was trying to evoke the emotion of that traumatic experience that happened to him over the weekend. Of course, anybody surviving that kind of thing is going to be touched by it in some way. But he started with an account of that. He said that he would tell the story only once because it was too painful to tell twice. He said, just a few short days ago, my journey with you nearly ended, and yet here we are tonight, all gathered together, talking about the future, promise and renewal of America. We live in a world of miracles. But he then moved on to more of what we've typically seen from Donald Trump at his stump speeches. It's much more the America First policies, the MAGA policies that have made him such a hallmark of American politics over the course of the last decade. The foreign policies that he touched on were things like Iran. He said Iran was broke when he was in office, and now they have hundreds of millions of dollars. Of course, that needed to be checked because it's not fully correct. He also mentioned the war in Ukraine and said that Vladimir Putin didn't invade Ukraine whilst he was in the White House, and that it wouldn't have happened if he was still in office. We've also had some news on that front in the last couple of minutes that Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, we are told, will be speaking with Donald Trump by phone on Friday. And that is significant because it's the first time the two men have spoken to each other since Donald Trump left the White House nearly 4 years ago. And of course, it was a call between Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky that ended up with Donald Trump being impeached for the first time as well, the so-called perfect call. Notably, in this speech, Donald Trump wasn't supposed to mention Joe Biden by name at all, but on an ad-lib. That is when he slipped up and mentioned his name, but he quickly caught himself and said that he wouldn't be doing that again, later referring to him as this person or his opponent, who he said was responsible for what he called the nation in decline. He also sounded some alarms closer to home. He talked about needing to rejuvenate the American auto industry, and he also fell back on his number one topic with his base, which is, of course, the southern border. He said that he would curb illegal immigration, and he vowed not to, quote, let these killers and criminals into our country, and he pledged to keep our sons and daughters safe. There was a lot of heated rhetoric when it came to the southern border and migration. So I think anybody watching it from an outside perspective will say that this was meant to be a speech that would depict unity and call for unity, but that was quickly gone by the wayside as Donald Trump moved through the speech. He did, however, pick up a lot more energy as he went on with the speech and started ad-libbing as well. It was in those moments that he arguably performed what I would say would be his best. So it was a bit of a change from the beginning of the speech, but really also a much longer speech than we were expecting. Around 40 minutes was what was scheduled for the written down remarks, and it ended up being around an hour and a half.